When it came to Sega's arcade racing games in the 1980s, I was always partial to Hang On. It's not that Outrun was bad, but there was something about hopping on that fake motorcycle and weaving in and out of traffic that was just more visceral. I was reminded of those arcade days while playing the new game Retro Highway, a racer that takes the old school thrills of Hang On and adds enough modern hooks to keep you playing long after the nostalgia has worn off. But will that be enough to prevent Retro Highway from being yet another half-baked racing game with throwback graphics? That's what I want to find out in this review. Would you believe that when the developers sent out codes for Retro Highway, they compared the style to both Outrun and Road Rash, but not Hang On? I'm not gonna lie, part of me wants to spend the rest of this review trying to figure out the thought process that went into that oversight. But instead, we're gonna talk about Retro Highway, the new game where you ride a motorcycle until you crash. Okay, there's more to it than that. Retro Highway is a throwback racer where the goal is to drive as far as you can, all while picking up coins and completing challenges. There's no story, no characters, no brakes. Hell, you're not even really racing against anybody. This is a speedster that'll take you back to the days when all you had to worry about was an endless highway full of cars to avoid and nasty turns to navigate. Your job is to stay on that bike as long as you can, no matter what the game throws at you. Knowing that simply driving forward would eventually get boring, first-time developer Gearhead Games has wisely made a lot of the experience about collecting coins and completing missions. These tasks can range from avoiding coins for a certain amount of time, jumping over a certain number of cars, reaching increasingly difficult distances, collecting close calls, and using the various power-ups. Most of these challenges can be completed on any of the 6 stages, but there are some that will require certain conditions. For example, in order to survive the blizzard for 30 seconds, you're going to need to spend some time cruising the icy roads of the Rocky Mountains. Now, as we complete these missions and rack up the coins, we'll unlock new and harder levels with more traffic and unique obstacles. A good example of this is when you're speeding through the intersections on the desert highway and avoiding road construction in the big city. You'll also find oil spills and icy patches on the road, as well as a nice variety of cars that won't get out of your way. Some of them include ramp trucks that'll allow us to get big air and even fly over the traffic. But watch out, because you definitely don't want to smack into a billboard or the tunnel ceiling. Yeah, that's just embarrassing. It's worth noting that there are 3 different power-ups you can collect in order to make each level a little bit easier. One of the powers is a magnet that'll attract all the coins on the course, even if you're not in the right lane. Speaking of coins, there's another power that'll multiply the amount of coins that you're collecting, which is incredibly useful when you're trying to save up money to buy one of the new bikes. The final power-up is a shield that'll help you prevent a catastrophic crash. You can spend coins to upgrade all 3 of these powers, which will mostly extend the length of time that you get to use them. Now, beyond collecting coins, buying new bikes, upgrading the powers, and unlocking new stages, there really isn't a lot to do in Retro Highway. This is the kind of game where you'll be able to do and see just about everything in a sitting or two, even if you haven't completed 100% of the challenges or unlocked every bike. The repetitive nature works best in small doses, making this a great game when all you have is a few minutes to spare and a Switch close by. Spending hours binging the game will only highlight the flaws and monotony inherent to this concept. Look, like a lot of throwback racing games, there isn't much depth to the gameplay. The developer compared their game to Road Rash, but Retro Highway is not even close to being that ambitious. You steer left and right and occasionally press the turbo button, and that's about it. You can't slow down, or drift, or even punch the car next to you. Not that I necessarily wanted to. In other words, I wasn't all that surprised when I found out that the game was released on Android and iOS devices back in 2018. Retro Highway definitely feels like the kind of game designed for mobile platforms. It also looks like a game that started out on phones. This is yet another one of those throwback racers that tries to look like the pixel racers of yesteryear, but comes off a little too clean and glossy to fully sell the illusion. The visuals are colorful and fun to look at when you're driving, but they don't hold up when you crash and look at the finer details. What's more, I couldn't stand the music in Retro Highway. I mean, it makes the attempt at a chiptune soundtrack, but the songs are far too aggressive and overpowering for the racing action. Personally, I would have preferred the developer try to emulate the laid-back tunes found in Outrun and Hang On. But, like those classic games that I can't help but name drop, I have to admit that Retro Highway's simplicity worked on me. While I would have preferred a little bit more meat on the bone, I still had a great time completing the challenges and trying to outdo my high scores. The simplistic gameplay is appealing, and I like that all 6 locations have unique personalities. This is a solid first effort from a young developer, and although it's never as much fun as the games it's trying to imitate, Retro Highway makes me excited to see what Gearhead Games will come up with next. Retro Highway is the hang-on roguelike that you've been waiting for. With randomized levels, dozens of missions to complete, and all kinds of bikes and power-ups to upgrade, this throwback racer will have you swerving through traffic in order to collect all those valuable coins. This old-school racer tries its hardest to bring in the new-school hooks, and mostly succeeds. While it's certainly fun in small doses, Retro Highway doesn't have the staying power of all the classic games that it's trying to emulate. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. Which is better, Outrun or Hang On? I mean, the truth is, they're both great for slightly different reasons, but hey, we might as well pour a little gasoline on the debate in the comments. Now, in case you haven't noticed, I took the last 2 weeks off. Part of this is because I needed a break after the insanity of October, but also because I needed to get ready for our big holiday special, which is going to start up next week. In fact, if you tune in this Thursday, we're going to be announcing what we're going to be doing for the last few weeks of the year. It's our biggest and most ambitious project yet. I can't wait to reveal what it is. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,